although name Zazaki is not a preferred version by many pioneer Zaza linguists, such as Malmi Sanej, Ihsan Aspar, and others, it seems like it's inevitable to we're having to use it now. I come from a part in Bakur where we name ourselves Kurd, and dialect we speak is Kurd-Ki. We also have Kurmanj-Ki, we have Demli, and finally Zazaki, how we Zazas Kurds name ourselves. I'll briefly tell you where they're spoken, why we have this four version that we name ourselves in for such a rather small population. The population is estimated to be between 3 and 6 million, but the upper number, I would say, is said by mostly the pro-Zazas. Unfortunately, we don't have the actual number neither for Zazaki nor for Kurmanji speakers in Bakur, in Turkish part of Kurdistan, for the obvious reasons. Kurd-Ki is Zazaki Kurd-Ki is mainly spoken in two majorly speaken in two cities. They are Dersim and Chevlig. Chevlig is called Dingle, for those who don't know. In Chevlig area, we call it Kurd-Ki, and also some towns of Ahmed, Diyarbakir, call the dialect they speak as Kurd-Ki. In Dersim, when I say Dersim, the historical sense of wider geographical Dersim, not the city of Tunceli that we know today. In Dersim province, with wider aspect of it, they call it Kurmanj-Ki. And the Malay is the name used by Zazas in mainly Siverek, Gerjush, in two towns of Ahmed, Chermik and Chingush. And Zazaki is the latest version of how this group of people name themselves, and it's also used for the dialect in mainly Elazığ area, some part of Malatya, and Elazığ, a couple of Elazığ's town. Zazaki is a dialect that is under threat of dying, unfortunately, like Haurami, case of Haurami, and it was listed in the language list to possibly die by UNESCO, as Mama Saladin mentioned. The similar other dialect of Kurdish is said to be Haurami, but since the Kurds do not have their state of their own, let alone being able to speak with each other, we don't know to what extent they could understand each other. There is I think a very similar line between the two dialects, but I don't know to what extent. With Zazaki, unlike Kurmanji in Bakur, the standardization work have started rather late by a very small group, volunteer group in diaspora in Europe, in Sweden. I'd like to say Mamos Temal Misanij and his friends. Back in 1996, they come together systematically, mostly once in 6 months or twice in a year in a meeting format and decide on mainly vocabulary. For instance, when I had an interview with them, they told me that, for instance, they come together to decide for that session the terminology to use in a municipality or such. Then there is mainly about 20-25 representative of all Zazaki speaking areas. They come together, they decide for the terminology. Zazaki in Turkey is at the crossroads of many challenges, such as being systematically assimilated by the Turkish state. Okay, the same process is applied to Kurmanji or Kurmanjis as well, but since the Zazas are a smaller number and already behind the fact that they didn't have a standard Zazaki to interact with each other, unlike the Kurmanji, which had the history of standardizing over a century since the Badr Khani family. And this, along many other challenges, makes Zazaki weaker for future hope. But there is a new tendency, thanks to the social media platforms. I'm just not sure whether it's going to be strong enough to save this dialect for future or not. But we are resisting, like many of people that I know. We speak it at home. I speak it with my son here in the UK. So that's part of our resistance language activism for our dialect. Thank you very much for all of you for listening.